The darkness was absolute, pressing against Dahan's eyes like a heavy blanket. His last memory was of the reconnaissance mission, a routine sweep of an uncharted planetary system near the galactic rim. The spacecraft had detected something unusual, a massive structure buried beneath centuries of cosmic dust and radiation. As consciousness slowly returned, Dahan felt the cold touch of stone against his back. Metal restraints dug into his wrists, their alien technology humming with a strange, almost living energy. He wasn't in any standard detention chamber. This place felt different. Soft blue light began to pulse around him, revealing intricate, geometric patterns etched into walls that seemed to breathe and shift. Strange symbols flickered, not alien script, but something that reminded him of ancient human archaeological records he'd studied during his military training. His equipment was gone. The advanced multi-spectrum scanner, the plasma pulse communicator, even the nanomolecular survival suit that had protected him through a dozen dangerous missions. Everything stripped away, leaving him vulnerable. A distant sound echoed, something between a mechanical screech and a biological whisper. Dahan tensed, his military training kicking in. Whatever this place was, it wasn't a typical prison. It felt like a living organism, watching, calculating. His fingers tested the restraints, molecular locked, impossibly tight. But Dahan had escaped worse situations. During the Centauri conflict, he'd broken out of a Zorn battleship's maximum security detention block using nothing more than a broken communications chip and pure determination. The blue light intensified, revealing more of the chamber. Walls that seemed to pulse with an organic rhythm, technological circuits that looked like intricate blood vessels, strange machinery that seemed to breathe and adapt. This wasn't just a structure, it was something alive. Suddenly, a holographic projection flickered to life. Not a standard communication interface, but something more sophisticated. Ad showed fragmented images, spacecraft battles, planetary landscapes, technological schematics that seemed to merge organic and mechanical designs. Dahan recognized elements of human technological signatures, the precision, the innovative design. Language, it was unmistakably connected to human engineering. But this was far beyond anything in current galactic archives. A mechanical sound, like thousands of tiny gears shifting simultaneously, caught his attention. The restraints began to adjust, not loosening, but somehow becoming more intricate. They were studying him, analyzing his physical responses, measuring his potential. His survival instincts screamed. This was no ordinary imprisonment. This was the test. Memories of his training flooded back. The Stellar Confederation's elite warrior program had prepared him for extreme scenarios. Survival wasn't just about physical strength, but adaptability, strategic thinking, and mental resilience. The holographic projection shifted, now showing a series of complex mathematical equations and biological diagrams. They seemed to be mapping his physiological responses, tracking every micro-movement, every subtle change in his body's electromagnetic field. Something was learning from him, studying him. A distant rumble shook the chamber. Not an earthquake, something more deliberate. Like a massive machine taking its first breath after centuries of silence. Dahan closed his eyes, focusing his breathing. Whatever this place was, whatever test awaited him, he would survive. He'd been trained for the impossible, prepared for scenarios that would break lesser warriors. The blue light continued to pulse, now accompanied by a soft, almost musical humming. Not threatening, but curious, as if the entire structure was attempting communication through some language beyond human or alien comprehension. One thing became crystal clear. This was no ordinary mission. This was something extraordinary, and Dahan was at the center of it. The restraints tightened slightly, a gentle reminder of his current vulnerability. But vulnerability, he knew, was just another word for opportunity. His journey was about to begin. End of Part 1. Would you like me to continue with the next part, or make any adjustments to this section? The chamber's silence was suddenly interrupted by a mechanical whirring. A small compartment in the wall slid open, revealing a collection of crystalline data fragments. Dehan's trained eyes immediately recognized them. Not alien technology, but something distinctly human in origin. He wiggled his fingers, testing the molecular restraints. The fragments seemed to pulse with a soft, inviting light, almost as if they were calling to him. Each crystal looked like a delicate piece of frozen light, etched with microscopic circuits that seemed to dance and shift. With years of military training and archaeological expertise, Dehan knew these weren't just random artifacts. They were purposefully placed, waiting to be discovered. The precision of their arrangement suggested an intelligent design, a message waiting to be decoded. The first crystal flickered to life as he focused his attention. Holographic images burst forth, snapshots of a human expedition from decades ago, spacecraft with designs unlike anything in current galactic catalogues, researchers in environment suits exploring a landscape that seemed both alien and eerily familiar. A woman's voice crackled through the projection. Her tone was professional, but carried an underlying excitement that Dehan recognized from his own exploration missions. Day 247 of the Horizon Project. We've discovered something unprecedented. The temple's technological signature doesn't just challenge our understanding, it completely redefines it. The projection shifted. Massive robotic constructs moved in the background, their movements fluid and organic. They weren't simple machines, but something more. Adaptive, intelligent structures that seemed to breathe and think. Another crystal revealed technical schematics. Dehan's eyes widened. These were blueprints for technologies that made current galactic engineering look primitive. Quantum communication systems, gravitational manipulation technologies, energy conversion methods. That could potentially solve the greatest resource challenges of multiple civilizations. Suddenly, the restraints pulsed. Not as a threat, but as if responding to the information being revealed. The entire chamber seemed to be listening, watching, learning. A series of coordinates began to form in the holographic display. Star systems, planetary locations, each marked, with complex mathematical notations that suggested something more than simple geographical markers. These were keys to what Dehan couldn't yet understand. The research logs told a story of human exploration that went far beyond typical scientific missions. These weren't just researchers, they were pioneers pushing the boundaries of known reality. Each fragment revealed layers of a complex narrative about human potential and technological innovation. One particular crystal showed a massive spacecraft, unlike anything Dehan had seen in his military records. Its design suggested it could traverse multiple dimensional planes with propulsion systems that seemed to bend the very fabric of space-time. The woman's voice returned. If our calculations are correct, we're not just exploring a temple, we're uncovering a technology that could reshape everything we understand about existence itself. A sudden burst of energy rippled through the chamber. The crystals began to interconnect, creating a complex three-dimensional map that seemed to pulse with living information. Dehan realized these weren't just data fragments, they were pieces of a much larger puzzle. Robotic constructs in the background of the projections moved with an intelligence that defied conventional understanding. They weren't just machines, they were something more, adaptive, thinking, alive. The coordinates began to align, forming a complex pattern that suggested something momentous, a plan, a mission, a potential future that humanity had only dreamed. About Dehan felt something he rarely experienced, genuine excitement mixed with a profound sense of potential. These fragments weren't just historical records, they were a blueprint for something extraordinary. The chamber continued to pulse, the crystals continued to dance with light, and somewhere, within the complex machinery of this impossible place, something was waiting for Dehan to understand. End of part 2. Would you like me to proceed with the next part, or make any modifications to this section? The moment the last data crystal's projection faded, the chamber transformed. Walls began to shift and reconfigure, creating a labyrinth of impossible geometries. Gravity twisted and warped, creating pockets of zero gravity and intense gravitational pressure that would crush an ordinary being. Daihan's military training kicked into overdrive. This wasn't just a passive environment, it was a living thinking mechanism designed to test every limit of his physical and mental capabilities. Holographic barriers materialized without warning, creating deadly corridors that changed their configuration every few seconds. Razor-thin energy fields sliced through the air, creating a deadly dance of light and destruction. Each movement required absolute precision. One wrong step would mean instant termination. The walls seemed to breathe, pulsing with an intelligence that felt both mechanical and organic. Robotic constructs began to emerge from hidden compartments. They weren't simple machines, but adaptive entities that could change their form instantaneously. One moment, a construct would appear as a geometric defense mechanism, the next, transforming into a complex navigation challenge. The floor beneath. Daihan's feet became a quantum puzzle. Molecular structures shifted, creating surfaces that were simultaneously solid and liquid. Each step required absolute concentration. Gravitational anomalies created waves of pressure that could crush bones, or send him floating helplessly. Memories of his most intense training scenarios flooded back. The Stellar Confederation's elite warrior program had prepared him for extreme environments, but this was beyond anything in their simulation archives. This was something else entirely, a living, thinking challenge that adapted to his every move. Energy pulses created holographic enemies, perfect replicas of combat scenarios from different galactic conflicts. Zorn battle formations, Centauri invasion strategies. Each projection was a perfect recreation, requiring split-second tactical decisions. The chamber's intelligence was studying him. Every movement, every breath, every micro-expression was being analyzed. It wasn't just a test of physical capabilities, but a comprehensive examination of his adaptive potential. Quantum-level projections began to create multiple potential scenarios simultaneously. Daihan found himself navigating parallel realities, each requiring a different approach. A corridor that was safe in one moment became a deadly trap in the next. Robotic constructs began to communicate through complex vibrational frequencies. Not language as he understood it, but a form of communication that existed between technological and biological intelligence. They were learning from him, just as he was learning from them. The holographic challenges became more complex. Gravitational fields created impossible geometric challenges. Energy barriers required molecular-level precision to navigate. Each obstacle was designed to push the boundaries of what was considered possible. Daihan's breathing remained controlled. Years of mental conditioning allowed him to maintain absolute focus. This wasn't just a physical challenge, it was a comprehensive test of human potential. Every movement was a calculation, every decision a complex mathematical equation. The chamber's intelligence seemed to appreciate his approach. The challenges became more intricate, more sophisticated. It wasn't trying to kill him, it was trying to understand him. To measure the limits of human adaptability, quantum energy fields created impossible navigation challenges. Gravity waves that could crush a standard biological entity became pathways of potential movement. The entire environment was a living, thinking puzzle that reconfigured itself with each passing moment. Robotic constructs began to merge, creating more complex defensive and challenge mechanisms. They weren't simple machines, but adaptive entities that could think and react faster than any standard artificial intelligence. Daihan realized this was more than a test. This was a comprehensive examination of human potential. Every challenge was designed to push the boundaries of what was considered possible. The chamber wasn't just a structure, it was a living, thinking entity, dedicated to understanding the true potential of intelligent life. As the challenges intensified, Daihan found himself entering a state of absolute focus. Time seemed to slow. The impossible became possible. And somewhere within the complex machinery of this extraordinary place, something was watching, waiting, measuring, understanding. End of part 3. Would you like me to continue with the next part, or make any adjustments? To this section, a soft humming began to fill the chamber, different from the previous mechanical sounds. It was almost human. The quantum energy fields slowly dissolved, revealing a holographic projection that stabilized into a clear human form. She appeared to be in her mid-40s, wearing a research uniform that looked both futuristic and vintage. Her eyes carried the unmistakable spark of scientific curiosity. A name tag flickered briefly. Dr. Yura Kim, Horizon Project Lead. Identification sequence initiated. Her voice resonated with a clinical precision that carried an underlying warmth. Biological entity, confirmed. Species classification, human adjacent. Warrior from Stellar Confederation. The robotic constructs around Dehan froze, their quantum circuits synchronizing with the holographic projection. This wasn't just a recording, it was a living technological memory, an artificial intelligence that had been waiting decades, perhaps centuries, for the right moment. Yura's projection began to share fragmented memories, glimpses of a massive research expedition that had discovered this temple, not just a structure, but a galactic testing ground designed to identify extraordinary warriors and potential defenders of intelligent life. The temple is more than a structure, her voice explained. It's a living technological organism designed to identify potential guardians across multiple galactic civilizations. You are not a prisoner, you are being evaluated. Quantum data streams began flowing around Dehan, showing complex simulations of potential galactic threats, massive robotic invasion scenarios, dimensional breaches, technological warfare that could destroy entire star systems in moments. The holographic projection began revealing the true purpose of the temple. It was a recruitment center, a sophisticated system designed to identify and train potential defenders of intelligent life. Each challenge was a carefully constructed test, measuring not just physical capabilities, but adaptive intelligence and potential. Yura's projection walked closer, her holographic form passing through quantum energy fields. Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't technological advancement, she explained. It was our ability to adapt, to understand, to evolve beyond our current limitations. The robotic constructs around Dehan began to reconfigure. They were no longer threats, but intricate, technological extensions of the AI's communication system. Each movement was a complex language of potential and possibility. Detailed schematics began to appear, technological blueprints that went far beyond current galactic engineering, propulsion systems that could traverse multiple dimensional planes, communication technologies that could connect civilizations across impossible distances. We anticipated this moment, Yura continued. A warrior capable of understanding the complex challenges facing multiple intelligent species. You are not just a soldier. You are a potential guardian of galactic stability. The chamber's quantum fields began to pulse with a rhythmic energy that felt almost alive. Dehan realized this wasn't just a technological system. It was a living, thinking entity designed to protect and preserve intelligent life. Holographic projections showed potential scenarios, massive technological conflicts, dimensional invasions, complex challenges that required more than standard military strategy. Each scenario suggested the need for a unique type of defender. The temple chooses, Yura's projection explained, not through simple physical tests, but through comprehensive evaluation of adaptive potential. Your ability to navigate impossible challenges demonstrates something extraordinary. Robotic constructs began to create complex mathematical equations around Dehan, potential communication protocols, technological integration strategies, adaptive defense mechanisms that went beyond traditional understanding. The connection was becoming clearer. This wasn't just a test. It was an invitation, a chance to become something more than a standard military operative, a potential guardian of galactic potential. Yura's final words resonated with a profound sense of hope. Humanity's legacy isn't about conquest. It's about understanding, about protecting the potential of intelligent life across impossible distances. The chamber pulsed, the robotic constructs synchronized, and Dehan understood he was standing at the threshold of something extraordinary. A new purpose was waiting. End of Part 4. Would you like me to proceed with the final part or make any modifications to this section? The final sequence began with a thunderous vibration that shook the entire temple's molecular structure. Dihan understood this was the ultimate test, not just of physical strength, but of comprehensive adaptive potential. Quantum energy fields erupted around him, creating a complex matrix of potential pathways. Each movement required absolute precision, calculating potential outcomes faster than standard biological processors could comprehend. The robotic constructs transformed into living navigation challenges, their molecular structures shifting between solid, liquid, and energy states. Yura's holographic projection provided tactical guidance, her technological consciousness merging with Daihan's biological intelligence. The emergence is not just about escape, her voice resonated. It's about understanding the complex language of survival. Gravitational anomalies created impossible corridors. Walls became liquid, then solid, then pure energy. Daihan's military training merged with the temple's adaptive intelligence. Each step was a calculation, each breath a strategic decision that could mean survival or total molecular disintegration. The temple was alive, not just a structure, but a living technological organism designed to test the absolute limits of intelligent life. Robotic constructs created holographic challenges that merged potential realities. One moment, Daihan faced a Zorn battle formation. The next, he navigated quantum energy barriers that could slice through standard molecular structures. His body became more than a biological entity. It transformed into a living computational system, processing potential outcomes faster than standard technological networks. The temple was learning from him, just as he was learning from the temple. Massive energy pulses began to create dimensional rifts. Holographic projections showed potential galactic conflicts, scenarios that required more than standard military strategy. These were tests of adaptive intelligence, of the ability to understand and navigate impossible challenges. The restraints that initially held him began to dissolve, not through brute force, but through a complex molecular communication that recognized Dihan as more than a prisoner, as a potential defender of intelligent life. Yura's final tactical guidance became clear. Emergence is not escape, her projection explained. It's transformation. You are becoming something more than a warrior. You are becoming a guardian of potential. The temple's final challenge created a massive quantum energy corridor. Robotic constructs formed complex navigational puzzles that required simultaneous multidimensional thinking. Gravitational fields created waves of potential movement that would crush a standard biological entity. Daihan's body moved with calculated precision. Each movement was a complex mathematical equation, each breath a strategic decision that merged biological potential with technological intelligence. The temple was no longer a prison, it was a transformation chamber. Massive energy barriers began to dissolve. Holographic projections showed potential future scenarios, galactic conflicts that required more than standard military strategy. These were tests of adaptive potential, of the ability to understand complex technological challenges. The final molecular barrier began to dissolve. Daihan understood this was more than an escape. This was an invitation to become something extraordinary. A defender of intelligent life across impossible distances. Robotic constructs created a final quantum pathway. Energy fields that could slice through standard molecular structures became navigational challenges. The temple was testing the absolute limits of adaptive potential. With a final surge of quantum energy, the molecular barriers dissolved. Daihan emerged, not just as a warrior, but as something more, a potential guardian of galactic stability. The temple's final message resonated through quantum communication channels. You are chosen, Yura's projection explained, not just as a defender, but as a potential bridge between technological and biological intelligence. Massive spacecraft detection systems began to activate. The temple had transmitted Daihan's potential across galactic communication networks. He was no longer just a warrior. He was a potential guardian of intelligent life. The emergence was complete. But the real journey was just beginning. End of Part 5. Would you like me to make any adjustments or provide an epilogue for the story?